When Grandma took her last breath, a stray cat suddenly leapt onto her face. To everyone's shock, she came back to life. The villagers called it a corpse revival, saying she was destined to crave human flesh. My father didn't believe it. He happily carried Grandma on his back and brought her home. But as soon as he stepped into the yard, Grandma squinted her eyes at the glutinous rice scattered on the ground and started trembling. In the folklore stories, it was written that corpses that bounced around were terrified of glutinous rice. Even a touch would make them sizzle and burn. Grandma was curled up inside the bamboo basket strapped to my father's back. She leaned against him pitifully and complained, "Juan, your wife doesn't want to take me in. My legs are already stiff, and she still expects me to walk over the rice. She's trying to kick me out, isn't she?" Grandma had been seriously ill not long ago, leaving her half paralyzed. Even getting out of bed was a struggle. My father wasn't too pleased, grumbling, "Mom just got her breath back. Why are you making things difficult for her? I'm her son, she's not gonna bite me, is she?" My mother sighed, picking up a nearby shovel. "If she can't walk on her own, then neither of you are getting inside today." My father glanced at my mother's sturdy build and kept his mouth shut. My mother continued, "When was the last time your brothers ever saved the good stuff for you? Today, they eagerly pushed you to bring Mom back. Doesn't that seem odd to you?" My father remained stubborn. "You're overthinking it. They're not that heartless. And it's just a stray cat. How could it be that sinister?" My mother shook her head. "When I was young, there was an old man in our village. A stray animal jumped on him right as he died, and nobody thought much of it. That very night, his whole family was found dead, each with puncture marks on their necks." She paused and looked at me. "Luke is only 10. I won't risk his life." My father glanced at me, the concern finally reaching his heart. He hesitated, then said, "Mom, maybe you should try walking a few steps. Just 2 steps will do." Grandma's eyes grew wide, her face turning pale and then green. The flesh on her face stretched taut, and she looked around at the crowd watching her. Her voice was muffled, like she was gritting her teeth. "You all think I'm old and useless, just looking for an excuse to throw me out." Her hands, thin as brittle twigs, slapped hard against my father's back. "You're just gonna stand there and watch them bully your own mother? Raising you was such a waste, ungrateful child." My father's eyes instantly reddened. He looked back, almost pleading. "Mom, it's just rice, isn't it? Fine, I'll walk." With that, Grandma shivered, her body trembling as she crawled out of the bamboo basket. Stubbornly, she hobbled forward, each step sinking into the snow-white glutinous rice. Her tears streamed down her face. Such fresh, good rice, such a waste. Wasting food like this for an old woman like me, heaven is watching. It's a sin. As she spoke, Grandma walked several steps, her feet brushing the rice with only a trace of dust, nothing out of the ordinary. Seeing this, the villagers exchanged disapproving glances with my mother, and my father's face flushed with embarrassment. He hurried to lift Grandma back inside. My mother blocked him again, her expression half smile, half sneer as she stared at Grandma. "Mom, since when did your legs get so much better?" The crowd froze, finally recalling how Grandma had been half paralyzed before. Now, looking back at the long stretch of rice she had crossed, everyone was stunned. My mother stepped forward. "They say zombies have stiff joints and can't bend. Why don't you try bending down for me, just to show us?" Grandma stiffened, her eyes narrowing, the cloudy pupils darting back and forth. Just then, a gust of wind suddenly swept through the yard, blinding everyone with dust. I, being shorter, was mostly shielded. Through the haze, I barely caught sight of a shadow flitting past the gate, and then, just as quickly, the wind stopped. In front of everyone, Grandma tentatively bent down, brushing her hand against the ground. She peeked out of the corner of her eye to watch my mother. When the crowd saw Grandma wasn't afraid of the glutinous rice and could even bend her waist, my mother visibly relaxed, calling for everyone to help bring Grandma inside. The crowd busied themselves washing Grandma up, making her step over fire basins to cleanse away bad luck. No one paid attention to me. I squatted down where Grandma had brushed the ground and found a few strands of black fur. My father was delighted, announcing he would slaughter a pig that evening and host a feast for Grandma. The villagers praised my father's filial piety, saying Grandma was blessed. Grandma beamed at this, insisting that my uncles bring their children over so she could get closer to them. After much persuasion, my uncles begrudgingly brought over 2 girls, Anna and Emily. It was late autumn, yet they were still wearing dirty, open-bottom pants, shivering in the cold wind. Grandma looked them up and down. So skinny. Looks like they'd hurt your teeth to bite. The adults laughed at her joke. My father helped Grandma into the courtyard and ladled a bowl of pork soup. "Here, Mom. Freshly slaughtered pig, cooked until it's tender. Try some." Grandma smiled, revealing her toothless gums. "I'm too old. Can't eat pork anymore." Then she sniffed the air. "But why does the yard smell so good?" My mother replied, "We saved the pig's blood from the slaughter. I made some blood sausage." Grandma nodded slowly, swallowing hard. With each gulp, a rustling sound filled the house, as if something was crawling around, skittering through the walls. Grandma chewed on the meat a couple of times before wobbling to her feet. "I'm full. Gonna take a stroll in the back courtyard." As soon as she left, Anna and Emily rushed over, picking up the scraps of meat left on her plate. After a few bites, they spat it out with disgust. "Luke, this meat is so gamey and rotten. And Grandma smells weird too." The adults were too busy eating and drinking to hear us. At the feast, the kids were only given a little meat, barely enough to fill our stomachs. Our bellies growled hungrily. Anna said she saw Grandma sneak into the kitchen, convinced she must be eating something delicious. We snuck into the kitchen. In the darkness, we found Grandma crouched on the ground, devouring something noisily. "Grandma, what are you eating?" Her back stiffened, and without turning around, she replied, "I'm just drinking some porridge." Anna said, "Grandma, there was no porridge tonight." Grandma, with her back to us, replied, "There was. They made meat porridge, just for me." Emily pouted. "Uncle and them are so biased." Grandma finished her porridge, wiped her mouth, and said, "Come sleep with Grandma tonight. I'll give you some meat to eat." We were thrilled, eagerly following her back to her room. Grandma told us to get on the bed. She lifted the wooden plank, reached inside, and pulled out a large chunk of meat. With a crack, she twisted it twice and handed it to us, still wet and dripping. Anna, the hungriest of us all, grabbed the meat and took a bite. "Grandma, why does this meat taste so sour?" Grandma was chewing on something too. Through her muffled voice, she said, "Fresh meat is always sour. Hurry up and eat." Emily took a nibble and asked suspiciously, "Grandma, what kind of meat is this?" Grandma replied, "It's chicken." I hesitated. "Grandma, we don't have any chickens." In the darkness, Grandma's eyes gleamed, sharp and bright as she glared at me. After we finished eating, she reached out and patted Anna and Emily, displeased. "You eat so much, but all you have are bones. Why don't you grow any meat?" Then she beckoned me with a wave. "Luke, come over here. Let Grandma have a look." I shook my head, refusing to come closer. For some reason, just looking at Grandma sent chills down my spine. Her expression turned icy, and she reached out and grabbed me. I was lifted off the ground like a little chick and placed on the bed. "Luke, your mother feeds you well. So much meat on you," she said, sniffing me with flaring nostrils. The stench was putrid and raw, making my eyes water. Through my blurred vision, I caught a glimpse of 2 fine, sharp fangs glimmering in her mouth. I screamed at the top of my lungs. The 2 dirty little girls across from me burst into tears too, wailing alongside me. Wah! The crying was gut-wrenching, echoing throughout the house, and soon the whole family rushed in. When they stepped inside, they were startled for a moment. My uncles laughed awkwardly, trying to smooth things over. "The kids are just scared. Let them stay with Mom for the night, and they'll be fine." When Anna and Emily heard that, they cried even harder, kicking and screaming, refusing to stay with Grandma. Grandma said nothing, just stared at the 2 girls with a hollow gaze. My uncles, annoyed by the noise, raised their hands to smack them when suddenly, chaos erupted outside the courtyard. Several villagers who had just left came rushing back. Leading them was Tony, the village strongman. He barged into the courtyard, shouting, "Fatima, my wife's going into labor. You need to come right away." My mother was well known as the best midwife for miles. She often helped with deliveries. Upon hearing Tony's plea, Grandma's eyes flickered, and she reluctantly let go of Emily's arm. "Take the kids outside. I'm tired and want to sleep." Everyone breathed a sigh of relief. My uncles exchanged glances and said they had things to do at home. They decided to let Anna and Emily stay at our place for the night. My father brought us to the next room and tried to lull us to sleep. Not long after, it began to snow heavily. My father said the roads would be slippery and that he had to go to Tony's to pick up my mother. Before leaving, he told us to lock the door and not let any wild boars from the mountains sneak in. The three of us squeezed together, playing and chatting until we finally fell asleep in the dead of night. In a daze, I felt something licking my face. I thought it was Emily playing a prank and reached out to push her away. But what I touched was wet and slimy, and then something leaned closer to my face, reeking of a strong, fishy stench. It was wet, sticky, and kept rubbing against me, as if it was testing if I was edible. I was terrified, fully awake in an instant, and screamed my lungs out. Anna and Emily jolted up, frightened, and quickly lit the lamp. As we scrambled upright, a shadow brushed past my shoulder and darted out of the room. "The window! It came in through the window!" I shouted, pointing. But the window looked untouched, just slightly more ajar than before. The entire courtyard was eerily silent, as if everything that had happened was just a bad dream. My heart was pounding as I rushed to knock on Grandma's door. Strangely, the thin wooden door rattled loudly under my fists, yet there was no response from inside. Worried that something had happened to Grandma, the three of us gathered all our strength and rammed the door with our shoulders. With a crash, it flew open, and inside, dozens of tiny green eyes turned towards us, blinking in unison. They filled the bed, the walls, even the ceiling. My face went pale. The room was swarming with long-tailed rats. I had never seen rats so big each one was as large as my father's rough, calloused hands. Their fur gleamed eerily, and with a rustling noise, they surged toward us like a tide. We were so terrified that our shoes fell off as we turned and ran, sprinting for what felt like miles before finally crashing into my father and mother on their way home. Rats. Giant rats. In Grandma's room. They're chasing us. I buried myself in their arms, sobbing uncontrollably. My mother, still holding the brown sugar Tony's wife had given her, froze at my words and lifted the red lantern she carried. Behind us, the path was clean, just a few scattered footprints in the snow. By the time my parents brought us back home, Grandma's room was locked tight again, and the kerosene lamp inside had been relit. A faint crunching noise came from within. My father knocked on the door. "Mom, Fatima brought back some brown sugar. How about I make you some tea with it?" The crunching stopped. After a long pause, Grandma's voice quivered as she finally opened the door. Her clothes looked dirtier than before. "I'm not hungry. You all have some?" she said. My mother glanced into the room. "Mom, what were you eating just now?" Grandma paused. "I couldn't sleep, so I was chewing on some pigskin to pass the time." My parents exchanged a look. Just as they got us settled, the gate was suddenly pounded on. It was Tony again, and he was not alone. He barged in with a group of villagers, demanding Grandma pay with her life. The commotion woke the entire village. People came out with their coats draped over their shoulders. My uncles arrived too, but they didn't seem the least bit surprised. Tony's eyes were bloodshot, the big man crying as he spoke. "I was just changing the baby's diaper for a moment." And the baby was gone. All we found were 2 tufts of black hair on the bed and a few tiny footprints wrapped in cloth on the ceiling beams. Almost all the elders in the village have passed, except for Grandma, the only one left with bound feet. Tony's wife, fresh from childbirth, knelt before Grandma, sobbing as she kowtowed. She begged Grandma to return her baby, saying if she was truly a demon, she could eat her instead, just spare her newborn daughter. Her cries were heart-wrenching, stirring sympathy in everyone. Grandma shrank back behind my uncles, stammering, "The baby's gone. Shouldn't you be out looking for her? Why are you harassing an old woman like me?" Tony, seething with rage, slammed his axe against our door. He demanded to search the house, saying that if the baby was gone, they needed to find her, dead or alive. My uncles sneered and asked what would happen if nothing was found, saying they wouldn't allow their family to be dragged through the mud. Tony declared that if they found nothing, he would bow and apologize to Grandma, Hearing this, Grandma's eyes welled up with tears. I'm old now. Even living is a burden to everyone. Go ahead and search. No one will have peace until you do. The group stormed into the house with righteous fury, only to find nothing. There was just a single mattress and blanket on the bed. Grandma was huddled on the kang, her head lowered, occasionally glancing at Tony and his family, who looked completely lost. Her bony shoulders shook slightly, and I could have sworn she was laughing. Outside in the snow, Tony knelt under the watchful eyes of my uncles, bowing heavily before leading his wife away, stumbling through the snow. Anna and Emily went home with the adults, too. Late that night, my parents sat at the edge of the kang. My father smoked silently, while my mother frowned and said, "Something's wrong with Mom." She said she stayed home all night, but when I touched her bedding, it was cold. And Luke never lies. He said he saw big rats in her room, which means he really saw them. I think Mom's turned into a demon. My father's face darkened, his voice frail. "It can't be. You must be imagining things." My mother shook her head. I checked the kitchen. A whole bucket of pig's blood is gone. If we keep ignoring this, Luke might be the next one to disappear. My father asked, "What do you want to do?" "I'm going back to my parents' house tonight to get someone to take a look. While I'm gone, sprinkle another ring of glutinous rice around the door," she replied. No sooner had she spoken than I heard that rustling sound from the ceiling again. My father kept his head down, silent. At the first crow of the rooster, my mother hurriedly left. Before she did, she took off a pendant from around her neck and put it on me. At dawn, Dad went to the kitchen to warm up some food and brought it to Grandma's door. But no matter how much he knocked, she refused to open it. "Everyone says I'm a demon. I might as well starve these old bones to death." My father grew anxious. "Don't listen to their nonsense. How could you be a demon? You're my mother." "Mom, I'm begging you. Just take a bite," he pleaded. Grandma didn't respond at first. After a while, she muttered, "I have no appetite. But if you really want to show your filial piety, go bring Anna and Emily here. I'm getting old. I just want to be close to the children." My father nodded eagerly, rushing off to bring them back. The moment he left, Grandma came out of her room. She was hunched over, appearing even smaller than before. "Luke, come here. Grandma's got some meat for you," she said. I took a step back. "Grandma, I'm not hungry. I don't want to eat." But she didn't listen. She grabbed the rancid meat and tried to shove it into my mouth. Suddenly, I felt a warmth spread across my chest. Grandma shrieked and fell to the floor. It was only then I noticed she'd been tiptoeing the entire time. Grandma crawled back up, her eyes filled with rage, as if she wanted to devour me right there. Then she extended her tongue, cautiously licking the hand that had grabbed the meat. That's when I saw either body was covered in a fine layer of fur, thin and fleeting, disappearing before I could get a clear look. Just then, my father came back, grinning from ear to ear, with Anna and Emily reluctantly following behind. A bright red handprint was visible on Anna's cheek. My father seemed especially pleased, giving each of us a handful of milk candies, urging us to chat with Grandma for a while. Grandma cheerfully beckoned Anna and Emily into her room. Emily's eyes lit up at the sight of the milk candies, and without thinking, she followed Grandma inside. Anna, rubbing her cheek and crying from hunger, asked if she could have a bowl of porridge. My father was in a hurry to help with some work and asked me to make porridge for Anna. As soon as I stepped into the kitchen, Anna followed. Her face was pale as a sheet. "Luke, I'm scared. Something's wrong with Grandma." "How do you know?" I asked. "Last night when I got home, my dad grabbed me and checked me over and over, muttering that I actually came back fine. And today, when Uncle came to get me, he didn't even ask, just shoved me out the door. He and Grandma are both acting weird." My eyes went wide with fear. "What do we do?" Emily's already inside with Grandma. Anna said, "It's daytime now. Even if Grandma is a demon, she won't dare hurt anyone. We should go get Emily out of there." Just as we were talking, there was a knock at the gate. I thought it was my mother coming back, so I rushed to open it. Instead, I found a group of villagers standing there, armed with knives and sticks, surrounding Grandma's room. Tony was leading them. As soon as they formed a circle, my father and uncles hurried back. "What are you planning to do to my mother?" my father demanded. Tony sneered. "We're not doing anything. You say she's not a demon? Fine. We're here to see for ourselves. With that, Tony plopped himself down in the courtyard, staring intently at Grandma's room. I blurted out, "Emily is still inside with Grandma." The moment I spoke, my second uncle shot me a glare, and Tony jumped up to knock on the door. It took a long while, but finally, Grandma reluctantly pushed Emily out. Emily still had a milk candy in her mouth, her eyes glassy, swaying on her feet. One of her hands was covered in tiny, sharp imprints. Tony shouted, "They say demons can't go a day without eating human flesh. We'll wait here today and see what happens." My father was furious, but Tony had too many people with him. The three of them could only wait outside, their expressions dark. Night gradually fell, and just when everyone thought nothing would happen, a scream echoed through the village long and filled with terror. Another child had gone missing. They found the same tufts of black hair, but this time, there were no footprints. Tony shoved past my father and burst into Grandma's room. There she was, head buried under the covers, fast asleep. Tony was stunned. My father's face grew pale as well, as if he was remembering my mother's warning from the previous night. When Tony and the others left, Anna and I sneaked outside. That's when we saw Hera, a tiny old woman, walking slowly toward our house. She was even smaller than Grandma, blind in both eyes, draped in tattered black robes, and clutching a chipped porcelain bowl in her hands.